It's a very combative take that people don't like to hear. I have fought a lot on the internet. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Glass Candle Podcast, where we look at what is, what could be, and what will come in A Song of Ice and Fire. I am one half of your co-host returning. My name is Arik.
I'm
With
Lil.
me is Lillian. I forgot.
Are you going to introduce me now? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. We're back after 3-4 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I went to Germany for a while, but now I'm back. Moved into Chicago. Yeah, Lillian's got a good job now, and
I started a new job where I fucked off for like the first 3 weeks because my boss wasn't around, and now I have to catch up.
so today we are talking about Davos Chapter 2 from A Clash of Kings. This is staying in line with the Catelyn arc because Davos only has 3 chapters, and this bit kind of deals with the fallout from Renly's death, and this will be the last time we talk about Davos as far as the cat storyline goes. Even though we've been away for a while, the podcast format's still going to stay the same. Lillian's going to give a summary. We'll discuss who the main character of the chapter is. We'll discuss who held the biggest influence over the POV character and why. Any alternative actions the POV character could have done. We'll see how the events in this chapter affect the other plots. We give our lengthy. We take a big amount of time talking about quotes. And then we close out with standout appearances and theories. So, let us begin now. So, Lillian, chapter summaries on you.
All right, it's been like a while since I read this chapter. I tried to
You can go over it again?
I read the wiki.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, bear with me.
What you did was you rewatched the show episode and...
No, that doesn't count because Courtney Penrose wasn't in the show.
So you're lost. You're like, who the fuck is Courtney Penrose? And what does she do?
Alright, so the chapter opens with Stannis' council meeting with Sir Courtney Penrose. Penrose is still refusing to yield to the almighty One True King. Stannis offers one last chance for surrender, but is instead assaulted by a flying glove when Sir Courtney offers single combat. Side note, so like, when people throw down the gauntlet, like that's a legitimate thing. People threw their gloves at people.
I don't know, but I do have an annotation.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to go back to reading now. A bunch of Stannis' new men offer to be his champion, but Stannis will not have it. Davos joins Stannis on the ride back to camp, and they discuss justice and turncloaks. They arrive at camp and continue their strategy talks when Stannis shows his human side and expresses his feelings about Renly's death in their last meeting. Stannis decides the castle will be taken tonight and orders Davos to smuggle Mel as he smuggled onions so many years ago. On their voyage, Davos makes it clear that he does not like or trust Melisandre. They go back and forth on the evil of man and the Lord of Light. Davos navigates them safely below the walls of Storm's End, and before Davos knows it, Mel strips down and gives birth to the Shadow Baby. Okay, so do people really hit people with metal gloves? That's a thing?
According to my annotation on the A Clash of Kings enhanced version, it says single combat to settle battles or sieges was strictly a literary device or fantasy in medieval Western Europe. There are some accounts in Russian histories of such decisive single combats, however, and a few scattered examples elsewhere.
So it's not a real thing?
Apparently it wasn't a real thing in Western medieval culture.
Okie dokie then.
But yeah, that's an example of like the little information dumps that it gives you in the middle of the chapters. I thought it was kind of cool.
Well, because you know the saying, throw down the gauntlet or whatever.
Yeah.
I never put any thought to it, but this time when I was reading the chapter, I was imagining like an actual metal glove hitting Stannis in the face.
Yeah, you're kind of
That's rude as fuck.
Stannis was assaulted by Aegon. Like, way to oversell it a bit.
That was my interpretation of what happened.
You're super offended, and you're just like, Penrose deserves to die.
No, I didn't know. No. I
I'm just
don't think
saying.
he deserved to die. He was protecting Edric. I liked him.
He was throwing some massive shade out there, so, but we'll get back into that later.
He's funny.
Yeah. So who is your main character for this chapter?
Main character, I have Davos. You know, we don't always have it as the POV, but for me, the chapter focused on, you know, the treatment by the other lords, his respect that he receives from Stannis, and basically his fear, or I don't want to, it's not hatred yet, but his discomfort with Melisandre. I think all of it revolved around Davos and how he feels in the setting that he's in.
I think it could be fair to say he hates Melisandre.
He doesn't like her at all.
Well, hate. That's a bit strong. Like, he might have not disliked her before, but since we see in this chapter that he blames her for murdering Preston,
yeah,
I think it's fair to say he hates her. So a lot of your reasons kind of apply to why I picked Stannis as the main character.
Okay.
To me, it's kind of like a growing trend. Like, anytime Davos is around Stannis always takes or pretty much whenever Stannis is in any chapter, he kind of commands the attention of the reader and the characters involved.
Yeah.
So my reasoning here was because it focuses on showing his interactions with everyone else compared to Davos, and then it's focusing on why he likes Davos and how they interact with each other. Because you hear about Stannis in other chapters about him being unyielding and an asshole and a prick, and then Davos is like, I love Stannis, and you never really get the idea why. Like, you get a small conversation, and in the prologue and in the first chapter, but this is like their first lengthy, Jesus Christ, that word, their first extended conversation in the series, I believe. And it really shows that back and forth, and we'll tag on a couple of quotes later on, but this really was the premier conversation between Stannis and Davos at this point, and it really showed you why they like each other, kind of. Or at least why, well,
we still don't know why Davos...
The conversation takes a dip.
We still don't know why Davos did what he did. Like, we know why Davos respects Stannis and is loyal to him, but we don't know how Davos ended up there during that time, during the siege of Storm's End, for anybody that has no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm being extremely vague. Davos...
If they're listening to us, they know about that.
Davos smuggled onions and... Did he smuggle other things besides onions?
Onions and fish.
Onions and salt fish, because they were down to eating, like, boot leather. Yeah.
Yeah. But to this point in the story, in the narrative, it's not yet explained why a pirate, a smuggler, was just like, I'm going to go help this starving 18-year-old kid who's, well, no, he doesn't have the reputation yet, but there's no, like, it's not explained why Davos is like, I'm going to go help these dudes out and risk my life.
Yeah, because you would think any lordling, regardless of the family, they hold themselves in such high esteem, they put out punishments and things like that. That was a real risk for Davos.
Especially if you got caught by the Red Wind blockade.
Yeah.
And then there's no guarantee that Stannis would actually, or Stannis' side would win the war either. Like, King's Landing had not yet fallen. I don't even know if the Trident had already happened then. Timeline's a bit fuzzy on when Davos got in there.
I believe Davos would have been there after the Trident, I think, but who the hell knows?
It's hard to tell. He could have been after, could have been before.
I have my degree in accounting, but I'm not trying to do the math gymnastics that some other people who have podcasts have done and try to narrow down a timeline of events for that period.
You don't listen to podcasts, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, our next talking point is who held the
Why are
biggest
you such an
influence.
asshole?
What?
I have missed you so much, Eric.
You don't listen to podcasts. Like, very rarely you do.
Oh my god. Okay.
Have you secretly been listening to them just so like I could say this and you could call me out?
No, you know I stopped listening to them when I stopped working. But now that I'm working again, I can listen to them again.
Well, I assumed you just stopped listening to shit.
Anyways, biggest influence.
It's Stannis.
Yes.
So Davos is giving his opinions at the request of Stan. This is a very short answer. This whole chapter is a conversation, and Davos doesn't really have much to act on his own. He's just riding with Stannis to the camp, and then he's sitting in the camp, and then he's sitting in a boat talking to Melisandre for like 3 pages or something. So it's mostly just a conversation, and there's not a whole lot of room for Davos to do anything under the influence of anybody. So
Okay.
Stannis says, Davos, come here, talk to me. And that's it.
All right. So I remember in Davos 1, when we did this, we had conflicting feelings about Davos's sons.
Mhm.
So for me, the biggest influence on Davos was a combination of Stannis and Davos's sons. Stannis for the obvious reasons that you've already said. I included Davos's sons. I think Devin in particular, if I'm remembering correctly, he's the squire to Stannis, right?
Correct.
And he wears the fiery badge of R'hllor, and so Davos thinks about his actions and how they could possibly affect Devin. Devin? Yeah.
True.
So he thinks about the safety of his family, since they're all of them are in service basically to Stannis. And how many ever, or is it just Devin that has like really embraced Melisandre? The other two kind of don't give a shit, right?
The other two are Faith of the Seven guys,
Okay.
Dale and Allard, and they're
Yes.
kind of just like because they were on at the bonfire,
Yes.
so they're like, this shit's fucking weird and crazy, and it's probably wrong. And Davos is like, shut your mouth,
That's
people are
right.
listening. And
But Devin did good because he fetched some gloves or some shit. Yes.
Yep, he got his the king mittens. Okay, yeah, fair point. I guess the rest of his kids are still on Dragonstone on their boats.
Where does his wife live?
Rainhouse and the Rainwood.
That's in the
With
Stormlands,
their
right?
yeah,
Is that where the elephants are right now?
more or less.
Okay. I'm not great on geography in that part of Westeros.
Yeah. So in the sample chapters, Ariane's
Yeah.
meandering through the Rainwood, and then somewhere there, I assume it's a bit east of where Ariane cut through is the Rainhouse
Okay.
to the right.
Okay.
All right. So our next bit is knowing how the future plays out. What could Davos have done to avoid that result? So I said he could have murdered Melisandre.
Yay! Me too.
Yeah, he could have just pushed her over the edge.
Well, I didn't think of a way, but I said he could have tried
That
to.
seems the most applicable way, just because
Cut her throat.
he rode the bitch out. Well,
Stab her in the
carries
stomach.
knives and shit. That is leaning on if he's carrying something, but he could have just like smacked her on the side of the head with a paddle and then dumped the bitch in the ocean. Came back and like Shipwrecker Bay, dude. Like seas got rough.
Are there sharks in our story? Like, I know there's krakens, allegedly. Do we have sharks?
I can't imagine there wouldn't be sharks.
I don't know.
There's swordfish, I believe. Isn't sigil a swordfish? Some ironborn.
I don't know. I just think of Patchface with the fish. I'm going to be Patchface next year for Con of Thrones. Sorry, I keep thinking about the fish that he holds when he's dueling.
Interesting.
I couldn't convince Brett to do it, so I'm going to do it myself.
Maybe Brett can go as Shireen.
That'll be weird.
That'd be hilarious.
That would
Brett,
be real weird.
if you're listening, you're probably not.
Probably not.
I'll text you. But anyway, Davos could have just smacked Mel over the head with a paddle, dumped her in the ocean, swam back. Either way, Davos is accomplice to murder at the end of this chapter. So better to kill the evil witch than the nice innocent. What does he say? What does he call a man who keeps the faith?
Yes.
In Courtney Penrose. Do you have anything to add to that?
I don't know if I would call Mel an evil witch.
In Davos's eyes, she's an evil witch.
Okay.
A lot of the times when I talk about characters, I'm talking about them from the whatever chapter character we have's perspective.
Yeah, that's too complicated for me. You think too much, and I'm not that smart sometimes. A lot of the time, anytime.
I mean, you've heard me say this, like whatever the characters do or how their intentions. What's important is what
they know versus what we know. Yes.
So Davos's opinions of people motivate his actions. So if he is displeased with Melisandre, as we have both agreed that he is,
yeah,
he probably would see her as an evil witch.
Okay. So yes, I had possibly trying to kill Melisandre. I think he did his best in attempting to sway Stannis from doing what happened, from killing Courtney, from attacking Storm's End, basically in general, but Stannis just wasn't going to have it.
Yeah. That's we'll circle back around to that later on. I won't remember that I'm saying this now, but when we hit quotes,
yeah,
I'm going to turn back around to this whole Stannis had his mind made up thing.
Okay.
You can take us into our next one.
How do the events of this chapter affect the other plots? So a couple of things that I had. Storm's End falls. Edric is put into jeopardy. That poor little boy who never did anything wrong. Stannis is free to march on King's Landing and enter the rest of the war because he hasn't really done anything except for take some of Renly's troops.
It's an understatement.
Well, what has he done? Like, he hasn't engaged with the Lannisters or the Starks.
Saying that he takes some of his troops. I'm saying that part's an understatement.
He basically takes everybody but the Tyrells and Charlie. Basically everybody but the Reach. Tarly.
Who's
Randall Tarly.
Oh, Tarly. Like he said Charlie. I'm like, who the fuck? Yeah, he gets like what, 20, 30,000?
Oh, I don't remember numbers.
Something like that. So I thought it was interesting that they bring up Doran Martell in this chapter. Stan says that Doran Martell is calling his banners and massing his troops.
Yes.
Which, fast forward to Feast for Crows, we find out that's a load of shit, and that Doran Martell doesn't have a whole lot of people to really bother anybody.
I wonder how Stannis got that information. Because I remember reading that, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, I assume because the Stormlands are right there next to it, and he sent people around, around that quote that I hammered into the ground around the southern coast of Dorne.
I was just gonna bring that up. Okay.
So maybe people found out. And then people have spies. They know everything anyway.
Is Mel technically his spy master?
I suppose.
Because he doesn't have
an official title. So yeah, he finds out Doran's massing power. Not sure how true it is. Florent, Alistair Florent, he blames Cat for Renly's death, which is, I think it's something that I brought up in our episode. Like, how come they all just blame Brienne and not Cat? Or maybe I just thought it and didn't say it, but that has a real good point. Like, they like to blame Brienne for it, which they what's his name? Evenstar. Or
Emmon? No,
it's
Royce.
No, it's not Royce.
No, but he's a Royce.
In this chapter.
Oh.
The old fuck. Or no, it's Courtney. He's just like, no, fuck that. Like, Brienne's been in love with Renly for a while. Yes. Like, she would never do that. And someone's like, oh, a woman scorned, so she's jealous. Where Florent was just like, actually, I think it was Cat because she came down here trying to ask for an alliance. Renly wouldn't give it to her, and then what do you know? Renly's dead, and Cat just ran away.
Yeah.
Like, that looks awfully guilty on Cat Stark. Sure, you got Robar down and be like, no, 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 no. Cat says it wasn't her, but he's dead now, isn't he?
Robar's dead, so
Yeah, so he can't really tell anybody else, and Cat looks super fucking guilty. Which leads me to ask, how the fuck didn't Loras convince the Tyrells to attack the Starks? You know, like
well, by the time Loras got back, Littlefinger was at Bitterbridge to bring them over to the Lannisters.
I forgot at the
And the
Littlefinger
Lannisters
part.
are in the middle, like they would have to pass through the Lannisters to get to the Starks anyways.
Well, yeah, like the alliance with Tywin and the Lannisters, I understand, because if Loras believes or is convinced that Cat killed Renly,
Mm-hmm.
Cat becomes an enemy to the Tyrells. Cat's already an enemy to the
To the
Lannisters.
Lannisters, yep.
The Lannister Tyrell alliance still makes sense. It's just curious why Loras wasn't convinced of this and decides to attack, or his family decides to attack Stannis instead. And even still, like even if he doesn't blame Cat, he still blames Brienne, and Brienne is with Cat, who is with the Starks. So it's maybe I have to read the chapters again, or the explanation that Littlefinger and Mace Tyrell gave to save King's Landing, but it really seems like they should have went west and attacked Robb Stark.
I don't know.
Like I'm probably am missing or forgetting whatever explanation or reasoning they had to go to King's Landing and then sit there and then not go after Brienne and Catelyn. But it definitely seems like if they hold Brienne or Cat responsible for Renly's death, they would have done something. Instead, Loras just gets sad and swears into the King's Guard. I don't know.
Yeah, it is sad. I did the what chapter did I do today? I did Tyrion 2, A Storm of Swords today for the reread group, and the candle quote is in there, and it's so sad. When the sun sets, the candle can't replace it or some shit.
Right.
And everyone's like, fuck Renly. What the hell, dude? It's not about that.
But Loras he's still fired up. Like he still does his jousting things. He still wants to go die on Dragonstone and do all this other stuff. So he's
Yeah.
still angry about it
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
sad. So
Well,
it's curious why he doesn't do anything about it, or at least press to do something about it. Maybe he does off page,
he's 17
but
years old. You think he would be young and, um, the hell is the word?
if anything, you think he'd go rogue.
Yeah, impulsive,
Right.
and he would just go for it.
But I don't know. I call it a plot hole, but George R. R. Martin's the best and the greatest writer, so it's not. So our next bit is pick an alternative POV to view the events of this chapter from. So with the big part that I chose, you did your other plots point.
Yeah.
So for the alt POV, I picked first Courtney Penrose, just to see his perspective going out into the parlay, and then during it, and then it closes with him getting butt fucked by a demon. To be sure, we would miss the main meat of this chapter being the conversation between Stannis and Davos. And then I guess if you want to pick Mel for that to listen in, and then do whatever she knows about Renly dying. But I like Courtney Penrose. Who do you got?
I picked him too, mainly because I want to know why. People are loyal to the lords they swear to and things like that, but he is so adamant about keeping Edric Storm safe. And so I just wonder if he sees Edric as kind of like a son or something. I want to know more about their relationship and why he is so intent on saving that boy.
Yeah, good point.
And he's funny as fuck, so.
He's been the Castellan for Storm's End for a billion fucking years.
He's been there a long time, so he's seen Edric grow up, and so I'm just wondering, like, if he's the Castellan, Renly has to be off over in King's Landing to do his job, so Courtney Penrose has been in charge of the castle. Has he been kind of raising Edric? Like, was that his job? Was that part of what he did?
Yeah, I'm sure he's the only kind of father figure that Edric has in his life. Courtney's not old, is he? His dad is still alive, so he's got to be like
His dad
40s,
his
I
dad is
imagine.
old. Yeah, because they were trying.
Um,
I think it was Florence's idea to bring him down.
and
To
hang him
bring.
in front of
Yeah,
the thing.
Florence
Um,
such a ass.
but yeah, that's a good point on further explaining Penrose's motivations. Um, another reason why I didn't pick Mel is because a lot of the secrets that Mel kind of keeps would be given away in book two already.
Yeah,
Um, from a meta point of view, it wouldn't make sense to put it in here. But I mean, she's cryptic enough in her Dance of Dragons chapter that she could still allude to it, like, "Oh, that thing that I did," and you're just like, "Wait, what the fuck did you do, bitch?" And you wouldn't get anything out of it anyway.
yeah. I think that was a good choice on George's part. To wait so long on giving us any insight into her brain and on what she. We still don't know how real her powers are, but on what she could possibly be capable of doing. Because to go through the first, it's not. I don't think her POV is till like the end of Dance or after the middle of it, whatever. Um, to go
Bala
through,
Beast has it in the beginning.
is it? Oh shit, I
I,
don't know.
I think. Fuck, I don't know. But the Bala Beast is the combination read.
Yeah. Um,
But in Dance
but
proper, I can tell you.
just being able to kind of go through and we're iffy on what her powers are, what she's capable of doing. Did she cause this event to happen? And with Blackwater, was her not being there detrimental, whether or not it was? And for
Well,
us,
she sees Blackwater.
is that in this chapter? Are we gonna talk about that?
Yep.
Okay, I have those quotes down then. Um, but I don't know. I lost my train of thought because my dogs are barking.
One benefit from it would be Mel's conversation with Davos, because we hear, Davos's end, how he's trying to be noble about it, but a great man and all that stuff. So just contrasting Davos's inner monologue with what Mel's inner monologue would be, as far as her view as stark black and white. Um, the rotten onion comparison.
Yeah.
If an onion is half rotten, it's not a good onion. It's a rotten onion. And Davos is kind of just like, yeah, well, people aren't really the fucking same as goddamn onions.
You know what it made me think of? It made me think of Shrek. Ogres are like onions, they have layers. You have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and
Okay. I thought it was funny.
cakes have layers.
Onions have layers.
Yeah, but no one likes onions. Everybody loves cake.
Okay.
Well, our next one up is quotes.
I want to watch Shrek now.
You got like 15 of these things.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But technically, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 little post-it thingies.
All
Me
right,
and
well,
my post-its.
you want to go first?
Sure. All right. So
No,
my
do
first
whatever you
one
want.
is when they're meeting with Courtney Penrose and going back and forth on Edric Storm. And basically, Melisandre tells Courtney, "May the Lord of Light protect you in your darkness, Sir Courtney." And he comes back and says, "May the others bugger your Lord of Light and wipe his arse with that rag you bear." I just love Courtney Penrose.
Yeah, that's some blasphemic words.
Well, it also, I think it. Have we heard already at this point Mel's views on the Great Other versus R'hllor? I don't think we have yet.
I don't think she's said those words.
Yeah, so I think this kind of foreshadows that that's coming. May the others fuck your god, basically.
Yeah, another point towards the end, Davos mentions like the god of darkness, and she's like, "Don't fucking say that,
Yeah, yeah,
dude."
yeah.
Except she's a lot more calmer than that, but she doesn't like immediately shit her pants. Um, so I've one of these other little annotations here.
Oh,
It
Jesus.
says,
You feel like you're so special with your annotations.
"Fun fact number one: Penrose has Targaryen blood. Did you know that?
No.
It says the Penroses are unusual in having many ties to the Targaryens. One lord of the house wed a Targaryen princess, and afterwards a daughter of House Penrose married King Aerys I.
What?
I have yet to confirm that. But
Hold on, I got my world book right here with nail
so,
polish on it. Okay.
well, she's digging up the World Book. I have another quote that I'm probably going to have to repeat. All right, so this is when Alistair Florent is talking.
Oh
He says,
shit, it's for yeah, sorry. It is. Aerys the first Targaryen was married to I think it's supposed to be Eleanor, but it's spelt really weird. Eleanor Penrose.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Moving on. Sorry.
Yeah, Courtney Penrose is a dragon rider. So this says, Lord Alistair Florent cleared his throat. Sir Courtney, mind your tongue. His grace means the boy no harm. The child is his own blood and mine as well. My niece Delena was his mother. Was all my da. You know me for a man of honor. Courtney cuts him off. He says, I know you for a man of ambition. Sir Courtney broke in. A man who changes kings and gods the way I change my boots, as do these other turncloaks I see before me. Everybody got pissed, and that's the first one where Courtney just like shits on people, but Karen replies. He says, no man here is a turncloak, sir. My fealty belongs to Storm's End, and King Stannis is his rightful lord, and our true king. He is the last of House Baratheon, Robert's heir, and Renly's. So that's an interesting sort of justification for all these assholes to do. They're like, well, we're not really turncloaks. Like, we've always been loyal to Storm's End and House Baratheon. Stannis is just the last one, so our loyalty defaults to Stannis.
We just didn't follow the line of succession in order.
Right. So it was kind of funny to read his justification for it all.
So
it's like, no. I have always been loyal to Baratheon.
I had that part, Bryce's part, marked down as well for a quote, because if that is truly how all of those men feel, that they are loyal to Baratheon in general, and we just talked about how the Tyrells and the Tarleys didn't go over, why the fuck didn't the rest go over to Stannis? If they were sworn to Renly and House Baratheon, Stannis is the last Baratheon, they are all technically sworn to Stannis, aren't they?
Well, the Tyrells are sworn to the Tyrells, and the Tarleys are sworn to the Tyrells, and the Rowans are sworn to the Tyrells.
Were the Tyrells not sworn to Renly? As their king, they were sworn to Renly.
Yeah, but
so they should have turned over to Stannis.
Sure, you can read it like that, but also because Renly didn't name Stannis his heir.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Does everybody have to write a will? Renly sure as hell don't have any kids.
Right. Like, the plan was for him to fuck Marjorie and get a kid on her.
Well, that didn't happen.
It didn't. So it's not clearly defined, and they can do whatever the fuck they want, and they're in a time of war. I mean, come on. They shouldn't have been sworn to Renly in the first place if you want to go at that angle.
Well, nobody should have if you want to go there.
You went there, so... Yeah, I assume that the houses that were sworn to Tyrell stayed with Tyrell, because none of the Reach houses went over to... Except for the Florence, but, marriage ties and whatnot.
Which, yes.
But yeah. Your turn. Your quote.
Well, I have that same one from Bryce Karen. Do you have any more from that scene? Because my next one isn't until Davos and Stannis' little ride.
Oh, yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is after he threw the gauntlet down and all that. And Stannis says no. Stannis declines the single combat. It says, Sir Courtney did not seem surprised. Is it the justice of your cause you doubt, my lord, or the strength of your arm? Are you afraid I'll piss on your burning sword and put it out? Another awesome line from Courtney Penrose. And then to follow it up somewhere on this page. Hold on, let me find it again. Here it goes. The king pointed a finger at him. I give you fair warning, if you force me to take my castle by storm, you may expect no mercy. I will hang you for traitors, every one of you. And then the last awesome line that Courtney gives out. He says, as the gods will it, bring on your storm, my lord, and recall, if you do, the name of this castle. Then he gave upon his reins and rode back to the gate.
Mhm.
So, according to Penrose, it's pretty awesome quotes that he gives out there.
He's funny. I
And he
like him.
dies.
Yeah, he does.
But you'll have all of our Stannis fans in the group claiming he deserved to die and he was a traitor. Interesting. Do you consider Penrose a traitor?
No.
Why not?
Well, fuck. Now I have to think. Hold on.
I think
Stannis.
he is.
Stannis is the one true king. He should have yielded. He should have yielded the castle. Yes,
Yeah, he's a traitor and a rebel.
but I
Stannis gave
also
him every
care. But the
opportunity.
thing is, I care about Edric, so it's hard for me to find fault in what Courtney Penrose did because he was trying to protect Edric.
His motivations are good and true and all that stuff, but his actions put him in the traitor category.
Yeah.
Just like how Davos tried to steal away Edric, and he was jailed and put on for treason, justifiably so, and then he was able to convince Stannis otherwise.
Yeah. True.
So
Okay. Then yes, he is.
cool guy though.
Okay. So I have a quote from Stannis and Davos' conversation, and it's Stannis speaking. Robert could piss in a cup and men would call it wine, but I offer them pure cold water and they squint in suspicion and mutter to each other about how queer it tastes. Stannis ground his teeth. If someone said I had magicked myself into a boar to kill Robert, likely they would believe that as well. I just thought that was a really great line since, well, there's crazy people in our group who think the boar was skin change. I don't know if I don't think this fucking shit, man.
I mean, it is a clever seed by George R. R. Martin there, and I think this
Okay.
confirms that.
If I could punch you in the face, I would.
I mean, like, why would he explicitly say something like
That I
magicked into a boar?
magicked myself.
Obviously, that means that the boar was skin changed.
So Stannis was in the boar and Stannis killed Robert.
I mean, it's in the text. He all but admits it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting that Stannis like straight up calls out like if someone said I was a skin changer and killed Robert as the pig.
Yeah. I just thought it was great wording.
It's super meta. So a little bit before that, this is just a small quote. It says, "And Stannis laughed," and I thought that was funny
Because he doesn't laugh.
because he doesn't laugh. That's all it was. It just says, "And Stannis laughed." And it's when Davos is talking about how the other men like switch sides and everything like that. But for my next real quote, so Davos asked him, he says, "Why do you have them, the other lords that you don't like, if they serve no purpose?" Stannis says, "The mules love the sound of their own braying. Why else? And I need them to haul my cart. Oh, to be sure, once in a great while some useful notion is put forth, but not today, I think. And oh, there's Devin with our water as I put salt in it and drink salt water like a fucking weirdo." But no, like that's a sentiment that Stannis has kept through the current story where we're at. He still doesn't see people as his equal, in the previous chapter and then now, and whatever status a person has that he might preach about how he's gonna get rid of them and like make new lords and all this other stuff, he only is doing these things to meet his goals. He needs them to haul his cart. That's the same kind of sentiment that Stannis has kept on. That's why he's accepting wildlings into his army. That's why he's going and partying with the Flints in the mountains. So he can hitch these people to his cart and help drag him back to his throne. I don't think that's a sentiment that's changed in Stannis.
I agree.
It's a very combative take that people don't like to hear. I have fought a lot on the internet. It goes in line with this whole the idea that Stannis is a progressive and he's let the wildlings through the wall to better their life, and he has religious tolerance, which
Stannis is a social justice warrior.
Yeah. Not laugh at the idea. I understand why they think it. I think it is entirely wrong. Like this whole, we're getting off topic here, but the religious tolerance that Stannis has for the people in his army, Westeros already accepts religious tolerance
Multiple
with
religions.
the old gods and the new
Mhm.
gods. Maybe not so much the Drowned god, the Ironborn or those crazy weirdo sea people over there. But the fucking Thoros of Myr is a
Mhm.
red priest, and he lives in King's Landing. He lives in the capital. Varys as a high government official that has whatever Myr gods he believes in. He doesn't believe in the Faith of the Seven. That's for sure.
I don't think he believes in anything.
Fair enough. So they accept
Atheist.
atheism, whichever one he has. Jalabar Zoe, the Summer Islander guy, he lives in King's Landing, and he's not kicked out for whatever
Wherever the fuck
religion
he believes.
So religious tolerance is a thing that people accept inherently. The Targaryens fought this massive war, Maegor fought this massive war against the religion, and it kind of ended in a stalemate, more or less. So even the Valyrian gods, over a time, were accepted within that small cult following of the Targaryens. So this whole Stannis promotes religious freedom. He does, I guess, but so does everybody else. And his motivation for having it is just to have more people in his army to haul his cart. So that's my long-winded take. You got another quote to bring us back on topic?
Yeah, let's go to my whole thing on Stannis didn't know. So Davos is asking about getting justice for Renly, and says, "For a long time the king did not speak. Then very softly he said, 'I dream of it sometimes, of Renly's dying.' A green tent, candles, a woman screaming, and blood." Stannis looked down at his hands. "I was still abed when he died. Your Devon will tell you. He tried to wake me. Dawn was nigh, and my lords were waiting, fretting. I should have been a horse, armored. I knew Renly would attack at break of day. Devon says I thrashed and cried out, but what does it matter? It was a dream. I was in my tent when Renly died, and when I woke my hands were clean." I am still adamant that he didn't know. His life force was definitely used. I don't think he consciously did it.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was arguing with Bob on that was, but I think Mel knew.
Well, obviously, yeah, she did it. So,
But Stan does. I think he contradicts himself a couple times.
He's like trying to convince himself that he had nothing to do with it.
Right. And as far as, like, again, it's this weird thing. I find contradictory quotes and sentiments in this whole speech, because that paragraph definitely makes it sound like he had no idea. He's talking about, I knew Renly would attack. I needed to be up. I needed to do all these things. My men were fucking worrying about me. It says on a couple of pages later, he's talking about Lord Meadows being in charge after Penrose is dead, and Davos is like, "Sir Courtney Penrose seemed hale and hearty to me," and Stannis says, "So did my brother the day before his death. The night is dark and full of terrors, Davos." So it's like, what?
He knew what's coming, yeah.
I thought you said you had no idea and you didn't know. And then Davos is like, "Dude, what the fuck? I don't get what you're just talking about." And he's like, "I don't understand." Stannis says, "I do not require your understanding." I'm like, "Whoa, pump the brakes, dick. Only your service." "Whoa, chill, dude." And then he says, "Courtney Penrose will be dead within the day. Melisandre has seen it in the flames of the future, his death and the manner of it. He will not die in knightly combat, needless to say." Hold out his cup like a douche. "Her flames do not lie. She saw Renly's doom as well." Like, she saw Renly dying and told Stannis. So Stannis knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know, because when I think about it, so we aren't told in the books how the Shadow Baby came about. In the show, we get them fucking on the table in Dragonstone.
Right.
So,
yeah, in the books it doesn't say Stannis had to fuck her to.
If that is what happened, well, because I think it's in Is it in Storm where she propositions Davos to make another baby? That she could use his
Probably.
life
If
force?
she also tries to fuck John in a
John and
Dance of
Dance.
Dragons.
Yeah. Um, so since we don't know how it came about, if that is how Courtney died, that's how it happened, to use his life force, and that means he would have had to have done the same thing to make a shadow for the death of Renly. And so at that point, if that was what happened, then I would totally buy into he was in on it, all of that stuff. Because this next quote, it shows like how much Stannis really loves his brother. Renly offered me a peach at our parley. Mocked me, defied me, threatened me, and offered me a peach. I thought he was drawing a blade and went for mine own. What was his purpose? To make me show fear, or was it one of his pointless jests? When he spoke of how sweet the peach was, did his words have some hidden meaning? Only Renly could vex me so with a piece of fruit. He brought his doom on himself with his treason, but I did love him, Davos. I know that now, I swear. I will go to my grave thinking of my brother's peach. We see the humanity of Stannis, and I feel like he really did truly love his brother. It took his death to realize that he loved his brother, but because of that, like in combination with the quote about his dream, it is hard for me to accept as 100% fact that Stannis knew and was in on Renly's death.
Yeah, like those two things by itself definitely puts it in the camp of he didn't know what was going on. But these other quotes that I brought up definitely do. So it's very weird how it's written that way.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I didn't know, my hands were clean, I have dreams, I don't know what's going on, I loved my brother. Also, Mel told me he was gonna die. And like he was like good and happy the day before he died too, and look what happened to him. And to be fair, like the one thing that maybe says Mel didn't tell him everything, to finish out, her flames did not lie. She saw Renly's doom as well. On Dragonstone, she saw it and told Selyse. Okay, she told Selyse. Lord Valerian and your friend Salador San would have me sail against Joffrey, but Mel told me that if I went to Storm's End, I would win the best part of my brother's power, and she was right. So it draws into question what Mel told him exactly.
Yeah.
But he's buying into this whole night is dark and full of terrors thing. Whether he knew to the extent of what he was going to do happened is up for debate. It's a tough thing to decide on, because your quotes by themselves make it sound like he's innocent. You read these quotes by themselves, it sounds like he was totally fucking in on it. And then when you combine them together all in the same chapter,
it's like, what the fuck?
Right, but like yours come first, so you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, he's really like remorseful about it, and then these come second, and you're just like, wait, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's like he's Stannis, and then like you turn the page and he's Satanis, and it's like this duality like going on between them. It's fucking weird.
It's an inner struggle.
Right. My next quote's kind of before all that. 463. Stannis he's kind of like talking to Davos and Devon. He says, "You have a passing clever father, Devon." The king told the boy standing by his elbow. "He makes me wish I had more smugglers in my service." That was a line people take and run. And fewer lords. Yeah, that's the other part of it. "Though you are wrong in one respect, Davos, there is a need to attack Storm's End and take it. If I leave Storm's End untaken in my rear, it will be said I was defeated here, and that I cannot permit. Men do not love me as they love my brothers. They follow me because they fear me, and defeat is the death of fear. The castle must fall, and quickly." And then he starts talking about Duran. There's another annotation here. It says, realizing he's generally unlovable, Stannis also follows Machiavelli, joining Tywin and Cersei.
I don't like this little annotation shit you got. These are not your thoughts.
No, but they're like, none of this is like I'm reading from text. Anyway, before you interrupt me, it says, realizing he is generally unlovable, Stannis also follows Machiavelli, joining Tywin and Cersei, and making a virtue of being feared. His concern about giving cause for men to doubt him also echoes Renly's fear that he'd be branded a coward if he avoided Stannis. So I thought that was really interesting. Drawing parallels and similarities. Like, Tywin and Stannis, fair enough, you get it.
Yeah.
But then when you also factor in that Cersei definitely tries to make herself feared.
Roll through fear.
which is exactly what Stannis is saying here. And then also, if I don't go fight here, people will think I'm a bitch, is the exact same reason Renly had to go to Storm's End to find Stannis. When people are just like, Stannis has like 40
Just,
dudes, Renly, like, we don't
yeah.
need to do this. And he's like, no. People will say, like, I was a little pussy about it. So we ain't going to have that. And Stannis pretty much saw Renly's quote and is just like, no, we're going to take Storm's End because people will say I'm a pussy if I didn't. So I thought that was kind of really cool. And it wasn't something I would have thought of on my own.
Me either. And it is a good comparison.
Oh, fuck. This was also in my notes, too. The whole so did my brother the day before his death and all that stuff. Okay. The Davos quote before says, Lord Renly only came here because you had laid siege to the castle. He was marching towards King's Landing before against the Lannisters. He would have, Stannis cut him off, would have. What is that? He did what he did. He came here with his banners and his peaches to his doom. And it was well for me he did. Melisandre saw another day in her flames as well. A morrow where Renly rode out of the south in his green armor to smash my host beneath the walls of King's Landing. Had I met my brother there, it might have been me who died in place of him. So I'm wondering, too, now, because obviously what Mel sees is true. Like, Stannis came to Storm's End. He won a big chunk of Renly's army. He went to King's Landing, and then Garland comes out wearing Renly's armor and beats him up. So everything that Mel is saying so far is more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So she'll say some shit, and then people will scramble, and because she actually said that thing to them, and then their reaction to whatever she said makes that happen. Because if Stannis never went to Storm's End, none of that happens. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting to see, like, with Mel's other visions and prophecies that she actually speaks out, how much of that actually becomes true because people react to what she says.
Well, and that's with most prophecies in the story.
Right.
Especially Cersei's prophecies.
Yeah, like it kind of cancels out this whole magic foresight thing because people will do like what people do after they hear it.
You're making suggestions.
To it. Yeah. So it's going to be keep your eye out for whatever else Mel says to see if it was actually a telling of the future or just something that would have happened anyway, or because it happened because she said something. Do you have any more from their conversation?
No, because that was the only other thing I had written down to point out that she still saw Garland. It still came true, even though Renly died. So my next stuff isn't until Davos and Mel.
My last one, and this is King Dick Stannis. He's telling Davos, people say get rid of Mel, send her back to Ashai. He says, aye, they whisper while she serves. And Davos asks, serves how? I think the king just stares at him. He says, as needed. And you? And it's like, so Davos like, kind of not what I signed up for, but I am yours to command. What would you have me do? He's like, nothing that has been done before. Just sell your boat. He's like, oh, fuck, sell a boat. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was a little tense there for a second.
Sure, Davos was clenching his butt cheeks.
What is their ship name? Danis? Stavos? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
But yeah, I was just like, wow, the gay undertones here are roaring.
I didn't read it that way, but okay.
I didn't at first, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Anyway, if you look at it seriously, it's Stannis being a douchebag. He's like,
You'd rather him be perverted than a dick?
I'd rather him not be either, but
he's gonna hint at Davos, get on your knees, suck my dick.
It's again, if we're being serious for a second, Stannis was being an asshole when Davos is like, she serves how, and he's like, as needed. What the fuck about you? And it's like, I don't know. It's a conversation killer.
It's none of your business.
Right. But yeah, that was the last quote from their conversation.
All right.
Stannis definitely was a prick this chapter for most of it. Or he definitely closed out being his dick self.
Stannis is a dick until we see him at the wall.
Well, in the first half, like he's okay here, and then the latter part of the conversation is just like, what happened to you, dude?
Well, in comparison to the other kings we've seen, he's not a dick compared to Joffrey.
It's hard to top that.
Robb is kind of pissy with Edmure, and
Rob's a giant
Renly.
pussy.
Well, I'm just saying. All right. So I have a quote from Mel and Davos's awesome adventure. He's questioning her about Renly and who killed him, and she says she didn't. And they're going back and forth on light and darkness, and Mel says, "You are lost in darkness and confusion, Sir Davos." He says, "And a good thing." Davos gestured at the distant lights flickering along the walls of Storm's End. "Feel how cold the wind is? The guards will huddle close to those torches. A little warmth, a little light, their comfort on nights like this. Yet they will blind them, so they will not see us pass. The god of darkness protects us now, my lady. Even you." And you had brought that up earlier, because she freaks the fuck out. Basically, "Speak not that name, sir, lest you draw his black eye upon us. He protects no man, I promise you. He is the enemy of all that lives. It is these torches that hide us. You have said so yourself. Fire, the bright gift of the Lord of Light." And again, I think it's setting up the Great Other versus R'hllor. Especially Davos's line about, "Do you feel how cold it is?" And how we had noted before, it seems like anytime the others are around, there's always a comment on how cold it gets.
Yeah, that's a good call there. There was a spot, because I wrote this down for earlier, whenever I said that Davos was guilty in it.
Oh, that he's an accomplice?
Right, that Davos is an accomplice and is like, in today's law, second-degree murder or something like that. Melisandre says, she laughed, "Is it me you fear or what we do?" And he goes, "What you do? I have no part in this shit." And she's like, "Your hand raised the sail, your hand holds the tiller." And Davos kind of shuts the fuck up and he's like, "Damn it." Fuck, that bitch got me. But yeah, so couldn't have happened if Davos didn't steer there.
Yeah.
My next quote's on the gray man thing. It says, "A gray man," she said, "neither black nor white, but partaking of both. Is that what you are, Sir Davos?" He says, "What if I am? Seems to me that most men are gray." And then her line, "If half an onion is black with rot, it's a rotten onion. A man is good or a man is evil." Which is not accurate.
No, not at all.
But it's interesting that Mel thinks that way. Which means that she doesn't see anything that she does as evil.
That's what I was just trying to think of, if I can think of an example to where, because it seems like she never has any moral conflict. You know, in the chapter we get in Dance.
She's confused, but she's not morally conflicted.
Yeah.
She doubts herself if she's reading her visions the correct way. Not that she's doing anything wrong. Right? I haven't read that chapter but once.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I don't think we are ever given any inclination that she feels like anything she is doing is wrong. So
Right.
when it comes to Winds, and when she burns Shireen, I'm sure she's going to think it's okay, of course.
We're supposed to get more Mel chapters in Winds, right?
I believe so. I assume that's how we would see Shireen burn. There's nobody else at the wall.
If John comes back.
Whenever
I doubt
he
we'll
comes
actually
back.
see it.
You think we're only going to hear about Shireen dying?
Oh yeah, I think Stannis is going to come back to the wall and be like, "So where's my daughter?" And they're going to be like, "Well, funny thing. So John died, and then the Red
You
Waifu."
needed, remember how you needed a Stark so you could have the power of the North? Well, we weighed our options. If you really wanted that Stark, he's here.
"Oh, you guys got Rickon back." Shit. That's my bad. Sorry.
That's just going to be Melisandre's house words. My bad.
Yeah, and then Stannis is going to kill her. I think that's got to be how she goes, right? Stannis has to kill her.
That's assuming Stannis makes it back to the wall.
Well, true. I think Stannis makes it back to the wall, and
I think we've all come to terms with that Stannis is going to die and wins.
I don't know if Stannis is gonna die and wins. I think Mel dies and wins.
Do you think Stannis makes it to the end?
No, I think Stannis dies eventually.
I
But
think he dies and wins.
The story's too unpredictable for me to guess who dies when. I just
Yeah.
think if Shireen does burn, it'll be because of Mel, most likely. And then if Stannis goes back to the wall after the Battle of Ice, I can see him rage quitting and killing Mel.
Could you see him ordering Selyse's death, or do you think that would go down how it did in the show, where she is remorseful and hangs herself?
I don't think she'll be remorseful.
I hope she dies regardless. She is an evil person. I don't like her at all.
I'm not a fan of Selyse.
I don't like her.
Oh, my last quote. This is when she's giving birth. So she throws her cloak off. She's naked with a giant belly, and Davos is just like, "God help us." And then he heard her answering laugh, deep and throaty. I'm picturing like that, like the demon laugh, where it's like, or some crazy shit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But that's just what I imagine. I'm just like, that is terrifying. And then her cry might have been agony or ecstasy or both. So there's your Azor Ahai reference there. Azor Ahai is a reference to demon birth. So, and then like George actually describes like this thing coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's so gross and terrifying. Like, how does Davos not go crazy? Like, that's some like if this was in Lovecraft, Davos would lose his mind and then just be insane for the rest of his life until he shot himself.
Yeah.
And it says at the end, he knew that shadow as he knew the man who'd cast it. He's talking about Stannis, right?
Well, duh. Unless Devin fucked Mel. But I don't think Devin's a man.
Plot twist. Do you have anything else for quotes?
Yeah, back to when she throws off the robe, and it's like, oh, she's pregnant. How did like he not notice the entire time? Like, did she just grow a belly in the boat? How is this the first mention that we get that she's got a big ass stomach?
Yeah, because earlier in that day, she's riding a horse carrying a giant standard, and I don't know. It is a magic pregnancy, so
Yeah, so that just jumped out at me.
the Harry Potter get out of jail free. It's magic.
Okay. Yeah, I think I just had the description of her giving birth, but we already talked about it. Standout appearances?
Courtney Penrose,
Duh.
clearly.
All right. Why for you?
Oh, because my notes. Slinging shade like a G. I don't normally talk like that, but
No, you don't. What the fuck was that?
I was stepping out of character.
You didn't even. That ain't even right. Like.
No, he was talking shit, and it was really funny.
Say that again though. How did you say it?
He was talking shit.
No. What was your wording?
I forget. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so I had him because he was a man of conviction in a camp of turncloaks. He stayed true to his word. He had his morals and values, and that was what he was going to do. Nothing was going to change his mind. Then it's hard to find people like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said.
No, you said he was throwing shade like a G.
That doesn't sound like me at all. So my theory goes back to the whole don't talk about you know who. So the God of Darkness is bad.
He who must not be named.
Yeah, the God of Darkness is bad. The God of Shadows is good. So is she just confused as fuck and they're both the same thing? Because that's what I'm proposing now. R'hllor is the great other. Like they're two sides of the same coin.
Well, her whole thing is you can't have shadows without light, but technically shadows are darkness. And we've talked about this before with the Balrog, right?
Yeah. Fire and shadow.
Yeah, like it's like he says, it's two sides of the same coin. And I think that would be fitting if technically it's the same entity,
Mm-hmm.
or if, in all reality, I don't think any of these gods exist. Maybe they came up. I think we talked about this before, that the seven
Yeah, the
were
seven are like a
based off of people.
sainthood figure or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, oh, go ahead.
I think they are real. Just
Okay.
the actual reality is not what the characters in the story think it is. Because the old gods are real. It's just spirits of dead
There's,
elves in
okay,
trees
yes, yes.
and blood.
All right, you have a point there. Yes.
The new gods, we kind of established that they're sainthood figures. The drowned god, I don't know what to think of that. They say he's a thrall of the Great
For
Other.
all of it, yeah.
Um, don't know how to connect that. People have looked into it, smarter people than I have. Um, but this whole concept of the Great Other being the enemy of R'hllor, and that's what's generally understood in this R'hlorism religion, makes sense for it to be flipped and confused, and they're actually the same thing.
And that,
Don't know why.
I think
Can't
that'd be
explain
pretty
it.
cool. That, well, because, over time, obviously this is going thousands and thousands of years. There could have been factions that split, and that's what happened.
Right. That's kind of what I'm going to. Two visions of the same church, and then one side won, the other side lost. So that side is obviously the bad guys because history is written by the victors, and our side was the good guys, and they were the evil ones, corrupted by the Great Other. When it was actually all just the same thing. So either, I mean, that kind of lends itself to it being like the Great Other being bullshit, and just that whole conquering division, demonizing the enemy, kind of sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or they could all just mean the Bloodstone Emperor, and he achieved some kind of elevation to Eldritch status or something.
See, all of that stuff really interests me, but it's hard for me to wrap my head around those things when putting him into those types of figures.
Yeah, I don't know either. I can't explain it.
Like, it sounds super interesting, but I'm not there.
The dumb shit about it is, and this is just the way George R. R. Martin writes that I fucking hate, is that he's never going to explain it. Like, we're never
Oh,
going to
yeah.
get a clear answer to what R'hllor is. Most likely. We won't get an answer of what R'hllor is, or the explanation of the gods, or if they're real or not. His whole stance of it's better if you don't know, and then you can talk about it for forever. Bugs the piss out of me. I'm just like, dude, just tell me what the idea is. It'll still be cool. Because
Yeah.
then we can laugh at all your dumb characters, and we can try to figure out why they think this way or another, and
And
you
how
still
wrong
have
they are.
right, like you still have your character analysis. Like that's where the meat, really all like literature and stuff that I read is that I get out of it is from the characters, like the mythology and all that stuff. Explain your mythology, explain what's real and what's not, and then I can apply it to your characters, and that'd be cool.
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin, with a lot of his the Thousand Worlds stuff too, that's all just like no one knows how this came to be. It's like motherfucker, you know. Tell me.
Instead of the little man behind the curtain, it's the fat man behind the curtain that is not going to reveal himself whatsoever.
Right. And like a lot of the stuff with the history too, like some people say this happened, other people say this happened. We'll never know. It's like, bitch, just tell me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like this actually happened, and then other people said this to try to trick people or to skew it to their side. Like then I still get your competing sides. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Was Daemon really a bastard? Did Rhaenyra really fuck all those people?
I'm still Team Rhaenyra. That's not going to change, though.
That's fine. You can like bad people. You can still like people and admit they did bad things.
At some point, we're actually going to do the Princess and the Queen, and that's going to be, like, really... I wonder how that's going to go whenever we do that.
And we already had all the fights.
We
Princess and the Queen already.
Pull all of those parts out of the episodes. Okay, here's our Princess and the Queen review.
Right.
You wanna
Okay,
talk-
so
Oh, go ahead.
I had one more, well, not really a theory, but a discussion point.
Okay.
Stan knew that Penrose was going to die by Shadow Baby assassination. So why the fuck did he go to the parlay? Why was there even a parlay?
Well, if he believes everything that Mel sees in the fires, you have a good point. If she already saw that he was going to die, and he offers up to Courtney, surrender the castle, give us the boy, and you can go free. Is he just trying to mind fuck people? I don't know.
He's either doing it for appearances because that's protocol. You go out there, you talk to people, you talk shit back and forth when you both know that because he parlayed with Renly when he probably knew, or well, fuck, we know in this chapter Mel tells him that that Renly dies.
Yeah.
And then he goes there for appearances, or he goes there to either validate Mel's claim. So if he does it, and then Penrose surrenders the gate, I guess that disproves Melisandre, and he's just like, oh, well, red bitch was wrong.
I wonder what would have happened if it went
like
down that way.
Yeah, like I wonder if it's just like a test. Like Mel says this will happen, so let's fucking see. I'll go ask him. Oh, he said no. Well, fair enough.
I think it would be more of keeping up appearances, like you were saying, because otherwise you just show up and, oh, all of a sudden people are dead.
Stannis also does his part to ensure that part of the prophecy happens. Because if Stannis would have accepted the challenge for single combat, that undermines Mel's vision. So he is actively trying to fulfill it. Fulfill. He's trying to complete Mel's vision. Synonyms are a great thing.
Oh Lord, okay.
But yeah, so he does his own part to make sure Melisandre's right. So that's gotta speak for something, right?
Why you gotta do this? Now you're like making me. Yes, in general.
Ask thought-provoking questions.
It's the self-fulfilling prophecies. It's kind of, a whole thing throughout the entire story. My issue with it here, I agree with you. Why it's making me, I'm not upset about it, I'm not mad about it, so all of those words are too strong. But why it's annoying me right now is the thought of Stannis being a pawn like that. So,
well, he is.
I know, but just like really thinking about it and everything, it just, because I think of him as such, he's such a strong, independent woman, he doesn't need no fucking Melisandre. But you know what I'm saying? He's stubborn.
This is Storm of Swords.
He's stubborn. He knows what he wants to do and things like that. And to kind of put him in the Cersei role, as your annotation did, ruling through fear, and also now with the self-fulfilling prophecy, I think of him, I hold him in such a higher regard than that. And this is kind of bringing it down, if that makes sense.
I understand. The mold, so really what's going on here is when George wrote A Feast for Crows, he just did like a word search and then replaced all the Stannis names in the he's and she's with Cersei's and she's and hers.
Well, that would explain why I like Cersei, I guess.
The Cersei storyline in Feast for Crows is what would have happened to Stannis had he actually captured King's Landing.
Oh, God. So Stannis is fucking Osmond Kettleblack for all we know.
Maybe it was Osfrid. The female.
We're Stannerman. Why are you doing this? Stop it.
I'm not a fan of Stannis after or before Blackwater. I've not been shy about admitting that. I don't like him. When I was first reading the books, I was just like, God, this guy sucks. When does it get good? And then he loses Blackwater, and the strings are ripped from the puppet master Melisandre's hands, and Davos speaks some sense into him.
Yeah. I had the cart before the horse.
Yep, making other men pull it so he could get his throne, which is what he's still doing.
Which he's still doing.
Yeah. Except now it's Northmen and wildlings, and not Southern lords.
Are they really people? Do they count as people?
Will they fight in his army?
So does that mean they count as people?
Then yes, they count as people, and they have rights, and you're still fighting for me, right?
Aren't they just red shirts? Does it really matter?
It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
I doubt he'll use them like Tywin used the mountain clans and just put them in the van just to go die.
No.
He'll have some kind of strategic purpose.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
But probably as the vanguard to go die first. Because they're good at fighting in snow, and the rest of his people suck at it. They have snowshoes. You have anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, so final call. Did Stannis skin change the boar?
If anybody did it, it was Blood Raven.
That's fucking stupid. No one skin change a goddamn boar. Okay, so that's going to be it for us
Fucking hate
today.
you. Like, God.
Why?
Just
That was a
because I
seamless
can.
transition, and then you interrupted me.
I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead and close this out then.
What? No.
Well, you wanted to talk over me while I did it.
No. Go ahead.
That's it for us. We're back on for cat something.
6?
It's been.
It'll be
a
cat
fucking
6.
minute.
It'll be cat 6, and we will be joined by a special guest. And for anybody who actually like listens to us and pays attention, at the end of cat 5, we said that I would be doing episodes by myself with guests, and then obviously Eric's here, so that didn't happen. So yeah, we will have a guest next time though.
Yes, next time we will. And she has many different names and fake profiles.
Let her live.
And it's a her.
Okay, so Bob's gonna know who it is, that's for sure. Well, and she's gonna. Well, anyway.
Of course, she should know. We fucking told her.
Okay, so you can find us if you search ASOIF/GOT Discussions and Theories on Facebook.
Oh yeah, that's an intro thing that you didn't do.
Because you started to introduce me, and I didn't even get to say that I'm Lillian. So I'm Lillian, by the way.
It's always good to do the introductions at the end.
Yeah. But so you can come find us, come join the group and talk with us about whether or not Stannis fucking magicked himself into a boar, and if Davos was gonna suck his dick if he told him to. I don't know. Whatever.
These are the important questions, folks.
It's
I don't really
okay.
interact anymore. But yeah, follow us on the Twitter at GC_podcast_ something. Or I'll drop it down in the comments.
We're so professional.
How many people like actually? Well, I guess. Well, we have like too many underscores in the damn Twitter feed or in the Twitter handle, so it is what it is. Follow us on SoundCloud if you want to be retro and
but
all that other
YouTube is
kind of
better.
stuff.
It makes us feel better when you follow us on YouTube.
Yep, follow the YouTube and listen to our other shit. If this wasn't bad enough to distract you or to tear you. Yeah. But yeah, so join us next time, a week or so from now. And yeah, we do this every week. Or did every week. Hopefully we can get back to our weekly thing-ish. 10 days or so in between. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.